Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Yesterday we had the Glenlivet here. This company was founded in 1824. Now in the notes I say introduced in 1824. I guess it's exactly correct, but that's when the company started. I've been making the Glenlivet 12 year for a long, long time. All right, so now it's owned by by Chivas Brothers, which makes an enormous array of blended and single malt Scotch whiskies from different distilleries. If you just look under Chivas Brothers, their website, I mean, you could spend your whole life just doing their products. Now, likewise, that would be the case with the Tomatin Distillery, established in 1897. This is their Dualchas cultural heritage since 1897. Bourbon and virgin oak casks, matured in a combination of ex-bourbon and virgin oak casks. Whiskey icon is some medals, whatever, awards. Anyway, in Europe it's called Legacy. But since there's Legacy Canadian whiskey sold here, Legacy Canadian, I guess they say, oh, well, we'll call it Dualchas, which means cultural legacy, historical item in Gaelic language. So it's the same name. They're just trying to avoid a trademark dispute. There's a big essay on the back of the box. You can read it if you get the box. This was like about, this was like well, I don't remember the price, but it was a good deal cheap. It was a good deal less expensive, or a good deal cheaper than the Glenlivet, okay? 12 year. This is an older bottle design, nice gift wrap paper. When I did the taste challenge yesterday, I was surprised to find out that the Glenlivet 12 lost the contest to the Glenlivet Founders Reserve. And the Founders Reserve is a lower grade product. It's no age statement. It's younger and things such as that. But and people have said terrible things about it on the internet. I've watched videos where they talk about it's horrible. It's horrible. Most people did not say that, however. Most of the videos I watched for the Glenlivet Founders Reserve were favorable. But when I did the blind taste test, the Founders Reserve won. It's that baby blue, powder blue color-coded label. It was smoother, had less bite. It was more enjoyable, and it was milder in the flavor. Now, the Glenlivet 12 did have a bolder flavor, but it wasn't as good of a flavor, I found. So I was a little disappointed with that. But that's the way it goes. So you can pay a lot less money for the Founders Reserve, but get, to me, a better product. Well, that's why we do it blind. Now, the new bottle, I don't know if the new bottle is green. The new bottle might just be clear. And it's color-coded. Like I said, the new design is teal. It's called the Glenlivet 12-year double oaked. But I especially bought this to have the older label. I wanted to have the older classic label. Certainly didn't need it. I just figured it'd be nice to have it. All right. George and J.G. Smith, 1824. They're both 80 proof, meaning 40% alcohol. Smooth flowing one. The smooth flowing one. It's got a notch on the back to put it on a rack, notch on the back to put it on a rack. Tomatin Dualchas is pretty. Clear bottle is pretty. All right, so there you go. Both of these are at Total Wine and More, and both of them are at Walmart. Nice foil cap cover. Nice foil cap cover. Cork, bottle cap. Cork, real cork, not pressboard cork. Get the right label. All right, good. Easy flowing out that bottle. Got to watch it. You pour too much, be wasting it. Put that over there. Now we moisturize this. Learned my lesson that way. Didn't know better at first. Wood cap. Now, Glenlivet is a plastic cap with the cork. This is wood. I mean, it's tight. Real cork. All right. Go back in there. Go back in there. Go back in there. All right. Oh, wrong. I need a little more tomatin to even it out. Hold on it. Ain't no air getting in that thing. No air shall be entering this bottle with that tight cork. All right, all right, all right. Even. So the Tomatin is a blend of single malts, a blend of malt whiskeys aged 4 to 8 years. That said that on a video that they made. It was a video that the company put on YouTube. And the brand representative said, well, it's 4 to 8 years. I think it says it on the website somewhere, but you got to search. Like, most people don't have that patience. And I don't necessarily have that patience either. So it's golden. So they don't want to put an age statement because then they would have to call it 4-year-old. Because the youngest whiskey, malt whiskey in there is 4 years. So they call it nothing. They don't give it an age statement. But the oldest is 8. So 4 to 8-year-old whiskeys blended together. This one is 12 years. The youngest whiskey in here is 12 years. And these are single malt, so it's all malt. There's no grain whiskey blended in, for good or bad. And they're Speyside, so that they're not going to be smoky or peaty. They're going to be mild and similar in your mind and in your taste to bread dough and bread crust. That is my feeling about it. Who's going to win? Well, I really don't know. I would hope the Glenlivet would win because I paid a good deal more for it, but you never know with these things. That's why it's a taste challenge. If you knew, you wouldn't even bother doing the taste challenge, right? You'd just say, well, that one's better. How do you know? Well, I just know. But see, the taste challenge proves. Now, doing it once doesn't really prove it, but I don't have time. No one's going to want to watch 10 taste challenges of the same 2 products. That would establish reliability. The taste challenges are valid. They're valid because they're blind. You don't know which is which. They're testing what they're supposed to test, which is what? How does one taste versus the other? So, and they're a double-blind study. But it may not be reliable because it's only a one-time thing. You say, well, you did it once. There could have been other variables like what you ate, how you feeling, and all that. That's true. Reliability would have to be established through repetition. We would have to do it 10 times, I think, to be on the safe side, at least 5. But there's just no practical way we're going to do that. So we got validity. We just don't have reliability. All right, well, let's try our best. With these things, you could taste the fumes on your tongue. So keep your mouth open when you smell it, and you'll taste it as you smell it. Mild oak and sweet. Bread crust type thing. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Let's go here. Yeah, same thing. It's like the same smell. Mild, sweet bread crust. White bread crust, all right? And bread dough. that's basically it. What about oak? I suppose there's some faint wood in the nose. You can get blended Scotch that'd be much smokier than these, like J&B, Hunter Pipers, those two for sure. The Cuddy Sark and the Clan McGregor will be peatier, not really smoky, but that weird peat, that compost pile smell. Because see, those are blending in single malts from different parts of Scotland, and if they're bringing in enough Islay single malt, it's going to give it that smoke. You pick it up, even though maybe 80% of the body is odorless and colorless grain whiskey. It's designed to be that way, so that the flavor is going to come from the 20% malt whiskeys they're adding in. They do the same thing with American whiskey, and they do the same thing with Canadian blended whiskey and Irish blended whiskey. I mean, you can get some really cheap American blended whiskeys, and they'll they'll make you realize why they're only $7 or $6 in some cases. You say, yikes, this is like some throwaway stuff. Well, that's what it is. When they're doing bourbon, like say at Heaven Hill, they're making bourbons and they don't come out right, because everything doesn't come out right, you know. When they're making a rock and roll album, like, you know, every cut ain't perfect, right? Look at Fleetwood Mac. Well, they were kind of like obsessive compulsive about their stuff, but they like literally wore out the master tapes, and they said like re-record the whole album, but they would say, well, that didn't come out right. You know, you can listen to those rough cuts of everything. So, but they don't want to sell a rough cut on whiskey, so they, like Jack Daniels, whatever, so they'll dump it and blend it with 80% grain spirits and sell it under some other name. You could tolerate it, you know. Now, are some American whiskeys like literally made on purpose, blended as a quality product? Yeah, Seagram 7 Crown be the perfect example. It's made that way, and it tastes that's why it tastes way better than the other ones, you know, because it's not like some throwaway that they don't want to waste. They're not going to waste the whiskey. Okay, let's get that straight. If Evan Williams doesn't come out right, or Elijah Craig doesn't come out right, they're not dumping it. They might blend it off and sell it under something like Kentucky Gold. And then when you taste Kentucky Gold, you'll be asking yourself, if this is the gold, my goodness, what would the bronze, the silver, or even the bronze taste like? It'd be unthinkably bad. There's a little bit of that peat-like thing going on here, like compost pile. A little bit. In other words, if you taste this, you're going to know it's barley malt Scotch whiskey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to taste this and say, oh, I wonder if this is bourbon. You're never going to think that. Or I wonder if this is Canadian whiskey. You're never going to think that. You're not even going to think it's Irish whiskey. You're just going to think, I wonder what brand of Scotch this happens to be. I bet the SCOTUS judges hit the bottle pretty hard when they recently realized they are irrelevant. They make themselves irrelevant by their own bad decision making. You know, they choose not to enforce their constitution, you know, in a judicial sense. See? So people don't respect them because they don't earn the respect. They have not earned the respect since at least 1954. When they start making outrageous decisions that are not based on the Constitution or any sensible understanding of the Constitution. like critics said, but they just make up the law. You just make it up. Just, well, in other words, their personal opinions become the law. It's not really the law. It's just their ruling. Well, I don't like this, so I'm going to say it. Well, who the hell cares what you like? The Constitution wasn't written so that certain judges can make the country do what they like, in their personal opinion. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up. Supposedly, that's why they had a constitution, so you wouldn't have arbitrary personal rule like they claimed we had under England with the king, which in fact wasn't really the truth. It was like much less tyrannical. Exactly. Brown was unconstitutional on its face. Just by any, all you'd have to do is like think. People don't like to think, they emote, they only use emotions. So it's hard to deal with people when they only use emotions instead of thinking. And I've tried to talk to some people about politics and they start screaming and hollering and cussing, and I say, you can't be talked to. You can't be, because you can't think. I mean, maybe you could, but you won't. It's the same thing with something trivial like whiskey or wine or beer. I mean, that's trivial, right? Some people think it's serious, like, oh, how dare you say that about a beer? I'm like, it's a beverage, okay? I mean, yeah, you want to be sensible. You want to have good sense. You want to make sensible statements. You want to be objective and things such as that. But don't get up there on the internet thinking that somebody testing a beer is important or it's like some grave matter like this Scotch whiskey taste. It's not some kind of grave matter. MATTER. It's enjoyable. It's interesting, but it is in no way important in any real sense of the word. So when you got people on the internet going on, I'm going to unfriend you on Facebook over like beer questions. It's like, well, A, that's insanity. And B, I don't even know who you are. I mean, what I'm talking about, like Facebook a friend. It's like, oh, look at all the friends I have. You say, what are you talking about? Oh, look at my phone book. They're all my friends. You might think I'm loony. Like, you would say, that's not your friends. That's just people in the phone book. And you say, oh, I thought they were my friends. All right. Oh, I taste a lot of sugar here. Hi, Ranu. Rano, says Bill Beerhounds. So we try to be fair. We try to be equitable. All right. But yeah, Bill and Joe, funny thing about that, you hear all this thing, oh, we fought against the king so we could have freedom. It's comical in a way because it's like, well, we got rid of this like mildly authoritative government. And I mean mild, like basically let you do what you want. Except for some little exceptions, but mostly way on the other side of the ocean and not really involved with the day-to-day operations of the 13 colonies. That's a tyranny. Oh, we have to have freedom. And so then you break away from that so you can set up a new government that's much more authoritarian and has and allows you much less freedom. So it's like, wow, somebody got tricked, I think. All right. But you see, you cannot discuss that with certain people because they're emotional. They'll go crazy, screaming, hollering. And it's like you say, well, instead of screaming and hollering, how about you think? That's not that bad of a thing to do. Biden is the best president ever. That's a funny one. Beerhound and Joe says the passivity of the population has been truly shocking. It is shocking in a way. But see, we're just taught propaganda, so we believe it. We're the home of the free. So we believe that because we hear it. We're the land of the free. We're the land of the free. So you keep hearing it, so you believe it. And the home of the brave. Americans are brave, unusually brave. But then you find out they're not really, and they're not, and they're very passive, and they go along with whatever outrageous thing the government does. So it's like It's like a fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Then you come to find out we're not really any different than the other countries. You know, they claim that. You say, I watch Fox News. We're exceptional. We're different than all. We're better than all the rest of the countries. Oh, yeah? But then when you start looking behind the curtain, you say, you ain't no different. That's just a bunch of propaganda. All right. It's like these two whiskeys. They're not really different one to the other. You say, oh, Glenlivet, that's a classic. It's aged 12 years. Everybody knows it's way better. Oh, yeah, but how many people did a blind taste test? Oh, well, nobody until you did. Right. So thank you. All right. Like I said before, like a little peatiness, a little bold flavor. I guess it's the Glenlivet 12. Look, it's easy for me to do taste challenges. You know why? Because I don't have a horse in the race. I don't care who wins for anything. Now, some people have claimed erroneously that I have some kind of like pet project or some insidious like hidden motive to promote certain brands like Budweiser, for instance. But when you start researching my channel and all, then you would realize that a person would have to have a child's mentality to believe that. And then they'll say like, oh, they're sending you stuff. This is what a few of the other video reviewers said. I said, man, look, let's get something straight, okay? Anheuser-Busch has never, ever sent me anything, except they did send me a T-shirt once when I got a spoiled Bourbon County. Remember in 2015, they were spoiled? So they asked me on the phone, would you like the money back or a T-shirt? You know, and I was like Nicky Santoro in Casino. I was like, I think I want my money back, you know? So they said, okay. They sent me a check for $11. I didn't get the tax back. I got the $10.99 plus a penny. But then they sent the T-shirt anyway. So I said, well, why'd they ask me if I wanted either or? They sent both. I said to this person, I said, man, look, if I was getting free stuff from Anheuser-Busch, I would be making Budweiser videos like 3 and 4 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be obvious I was getting juiced in with these people. But I'm not. You say, well, you make Paul Honor videos a lot. I know, because they send me stuff. Makes sense, right? I never asked a single time for anything from Paul Honor. I don't even know how they got my email. They just say, hey, just like 5 years ago, hey, you want some free beer to do videos? I said, yeah, but I'm not just going to say it's great because you're sending it to me. They said, yeah, but we already watched your videos. You already said it was an A-. I said, oh, well, you got me there. So they checked me out first. If I'd have been slamming their stuff, talking about it was trash, they would have never even contacted me. So they smart. They checked out the channel. They could see I was bragging on Paul Honor. And so they said, well, send it to him. He already likes it. He's going to brag on it. That's free advertising. Well, yeah, common sense will tell you that. Once again, like I'm saying, you don't have to, you could just think. Like, that's not hard to do, just like use intelligence. Apparently it is for some people, but it shouldn't be. This Scotch is all right. It's nice. It's well made, obviously. Let's see these last comments. I got to get off to watch the news. The general public is truly American loving. Yeah. Mad Dog 2020 versus Night Train Express. Night Train was discontinued, so can't do it. Some people have claimed you are just filming yourself drinking under the guise of calling it challenges because they're jealous and they're wrong. And I don't care what they say. Really, honestly, I don't care. I just laugh at it. America is marketing at this point, false advertising, essentially. Yeah. It's like margarine, it's fake. You say, well, our freedom tastes like butter, but it ain't really butter. It tastes like freedom, but it's not freedom. But anyway, enough said. I've said this so many times. I said, look, if I wanted to drink all day, and I would just admit it. I would say, I drink all day. I got problems. I would just say it. Wouldn't hide it. Just wouldn't hide it. Not that should be something you should be proud of. But I do the taste challenges because they're interesting and they're fun for me. If people don't like them, I'm sorry. I like them. I'm smelling a little smoke. You say, no, you're wrong. Those don't have smoke. Okay, well, I'm smelling it. I mean, we talking about a scintilla of it. And I'm not smelling that here. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I think that's the Glenlivet 12, and I think that's the Tomatin, which is not from Manhattan. Which one do I like better? Now, see, that's a hard question. I like the Tomatin's mild smoothness. It's really nice. I mean, it's really, really nice. I'd love to try all their levels. You know what I think I'm going to do? I was thinking about this laying in bed. I was thinking, I got to stop buying horizontal, you know, across the board, like this blended Scotch, that blended Scotch, or this single malt, because it just spreads. Like you could never catch up with that. You'd be so old and you never got anywhere. I want to go climb. Like I want to start climbing like the better Buchanans, the really, you know, the better, you know, because I mean, you're not going to cover everything anyway. People are going to always say, well, what about the famous grouse? What about this? What about that? It's like, yeah, I know. I can't. Those are all great. I'm sure I cannot just keep going horizontal. I like to go vertical. I like to start climbing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start climbing the ladder. Kessler. Yeah. But see, that's another horizontal. Well, with blended, I guess you only can go horizontal. So yeah, Kessler. All right. So I'm going to say this is Tomatin. Holy smokes. It's the Glenlivet. Holy smokes. It's the Glenlivet. Oh, I couldn't even tell them apart. Well, do you always get more when you pay more? No, and not in this case. So Tomatin is like $15 cheaper, at least $10 cheaper, at least $10 cheaper. Did I mention that it's at least $10 cheaper? But it's no worse. And I couldn't even tell them apart. Just hey Tomatin, you did a great job because you won by virtue of me not being able to tell them apart. And you're much cheaper. So sorry, Glenlivet, you lost twice in a row. That's a bad start. That is a terrible start. 2 contests in a row and they lost both. Has never gonna do. I am gonna do Kessler. No, the horror. Well, it's time for the news, y'all, which will be more horror. Thank you for watching this video production.